What's going on, guys? It's your boy Lee John, and I know I haven't been uploading videos crazily, but life wants to be life, so videos had to take a pause. But I did read through the Mount Targon lore recently that Riot put out not too long ago, and they actually left us a lot of interesting things to speculate on, and I kind of want to cover that for you guys, so I'm probably going to be making a playlist later down the line. So without any further ado, let's start diving into this Mount Targon lore. You guys get it? Diana diving. No? Yeah? Man. I cracked myself up. So we're going to start with the race the mountain is named after, the Targonians, also following the title of the video. So if you want to pause here or just bask in the beautiful art that I've done here for you guys. Gonna start in 3, 2, 1. Targonians are part of an ancient spacefaring empire. Yes, not just a civilization, they are a goddamn empire. They seem to be a highly intellectual race, able to trick the Starforger Aurelian Sol, using him for their own personal agenda, blowing up planets, using his sunbeams, etc, etc. After a while, Sol grew tired of having his freedom restricted by the Targonians' will, and the Targonians called for Sol again, using their aspect pantheon as their voice to call for Sol to launch giant sunbeams at this void gate. And during all of this, Sol reveals that there was some internal conflict between the Targonians was going on, and that the magic that bonded him seemed to be growing weaker as a result. Displaying some resistance just for a second though, and eventually the magic did subdue him and he launched giant sunbeams at the creatures. But since the influence of the void itself and the magic seemingly weaker, he was also able to aim it at their aspect pantheon as well. And after this event, we know Targon chose a new mortal vessel to become pantheon right after. And it seems that all the Targonians across the cosmos, not just Runeterra, if they're even, which I don't believe they're on Runeterra, but all the Targonians across the universe all turn their eye to Runeterra once again, and this is why there's more than one aspect on Runeterra when there was only one heard of before. Now I threw out the word aspect a bunch of times, aspect this, aspect that, but what really is an aspect? Basically, aspects are mortal vessels the Targonians have chosen in order to fulfill certain needs, granting them celestial power and basically turning them into... like I said before, the Targonians are very intelligent. Somehow they're able to imbue their essence into mortal vessels on some Professor X mind transfer shit. But why do they make aspects anyway? I think they make these aspects because they themselves are not as physically powerful as these vessels they choose, or there are so very few of them that they need extra vessels in order to carry on their tasks. Given the bio of Pantheon, Pantheon's duty is to protect Mount Targon from any invaders with ill intent in their hearts. This gives me reason to believe that the Targonians use these aspects as a means of protecting their establishments in each world they travel to. So basically, they choose the strongest individuals in each world to become protectors of their property. So there might be another Pantheon in another planet. How do they choose these individuals? In Runeterra's case, they choose individuals who are able to climb to the top of Mount Targon that they deem worthy, able to become aspects. In every single Mount Targon related champion's lore, there was usually one other person that they met towards the top of the mountaintop. I believe that these were Targonians themselves, able to transform into something else using some sort of magic, and revealed all the knowledge that they had to those who were worthy. Now, how the hell do they even infuse their essence into these champions? I think it has something to do with this armor and weaponry that become attached to these aspects, and they somehow infuse their essence into these weapons and armor, similar to Aurelian Sol. Aurelian Sol put this crown on and he was bonded to Targon. Diana put this armor on and she became batshit crazy, gained all of these memories, started taking her places to fight these creatures. And by the way, these creatures seem very similar to the void creatures that the previous Pantheon was fighting centuries ago. So they probably assigned Diana to hunt these void creatures, while Pantheon's job is just to protect Mount Targon. Now this is where it really gets interesting, because in Aurelian Sol's bio he reveals that the Targonians forced him to fight other celestial beings since he's known from the beginning of time. Also in the Mount Targon introductory paragraph, it says that the power of these aspects come across Mount Targon and give power to these climbers they found worthy, the powers being celestial bodies like the sun, moon, constellations, and other planets. So my thinking is, could the Targonians have controlled more than one celestial deity? Could they have used Aurelian's soul to weaken the other celestial beings to gain control over them? Why would Aurelian's soul fight these other celestial beings? And if not, why would the other deities willingly give power to these aspects anyway? This also gives reason to how Leona, Diana, Tariq, and Pantheon all have different powers. The powers they received were probably all from different celestial beings, not to mention the fact that Pantheon has heavy ties to Greek Roman history, right? This guy looks just like the god of war Ares, and we all know in Greek/Roman mythology there was more than one god, so there could be a possibility of there being multiple celestial gods. The resemblance that the aspects have to Greek mythology are pretty stunning, actually. I mean, Pantheon's name is literally Pantheon. So while we're on the subject of Greek mythology, we know a lot of the times gods would come down resembling mortals. Zeus, the man whore, would go down to earth looking like some Calvin Klein model and start fucking everything he could. So if any of this is inspired by Greek mythology, we can infer that the Targonians transforming themselves into other figures are a take on this. As for another new champion down the line, I don't understand why Riot would tease these celestial beings without them becoming more prominent later down the line. Maybe new champions, maybe appearing in other people's lore. But it would be cool if we have another look on these celestial beings. Targonians are by far the most intelligent race introduced in League of Legends history, bar none. And I'm gonna be honest here, you may think I'm some sort of lore wizard or just some bullshit theorist. Whatever the case is, I haven't even finished reading the lore yet, and I'm 110% positive that nobody can compete with the Targonians intellectually. These guys trick the cosmic dragon who creates stars into doing what they want, and they manage to put their minds in some goddamn armor. You tell me who can compete with that. So these guys come up with a way to travel across other planets, but how? This goes along with what I covered previously. Bard, another celestial being, probably since the beginning of time, was shown to teleport his celestial artifact, or this unknown celestial artifact, and himself to some unknown place, most likely out of this world. Could Bard be working with the Targonians? We don't know. Yes, Bard is known to protect the universe as a whole, but I have a song inspired by Future and Drake to explain some of this. Turn this up, bro. Turn this up, man. I don't need no auto-tune. Where was Bard at when Soul was blowing up? Plan is, where was Bard at when void creatures taking over? Where was Bard at when there's a supernova? Where were you when Runeterra needed help? Come on, Bard, universe ain't protect itself. So this could mean one of two things. Either Aurelian's soul is stronger than Bard, so he can't interfere with his doings, or Bard is being ordered around by some other higher deity. Or better yet, instead of being ordered around by some other higher deity, he's being ordered around by Targonians. Also, why was this magical pebble there in the first place? How did it get there? If it wasn't supposed to be used in this world, I don't see why it wasn't taken away sooner, or why it was still there in the first place. Gives me reason to believe that Targonians use this technology somehow to traverse to other planets. And not to mention that the gameplay designer for Aurelian's Soul and Bard are the same. So big question is, why did they decide to leave Runeterra? I believe they first settled here in Runeterra since this is the location where they convinced Aurelian's Soul to wear the crown. Once they convinced the dragon, it became easier to spread their conquests on a universal scale. Once they had secured a location in Runeterra, being Mount Targon, and an aspect, Pantheon, they could then proceed to feel free to go other planets to do the same exact thing. Once they felt like they had control of Runeterra, they had no reason to stay. That is being one theory. The other is some internal conflict, maybe a civil war, because we do know that the Targonians repeatedly had conflict with one another. Given Soul's bio, they were all fighting to regain control of Soul after he had decimated their previous aspects. So is this a reason why there are multiple aspects now in Runeterra? Could this have been a result of this internal conflict? Just more questions that come to mind. Now, there's literally no information on the connection between Targonians and other ancient races. I've read some theories that people believe the Targonians are actually Darkin, because all we know about the Darkin are there's 5 of them, they are a winged race, and they are old, and that's... Yet, I don't believe this theory due to the nature of the one Darkin we do know, Aatrox. He seems to just enjoy the thought of battle rather than trying to start a universal empire. Now, what connection could they possibly have with the Watchers? Now, the Watchers did have many forms in the form of horned creatures, so maybe this could have been one of the creatures the Targonians fought, and this eventually led them to leaving, or I don't know, that's just reaching again, but it's just a thought. But there is a strong possibility of them having some interaction with all of these ancient races, and Shurima is mentioned in the lore of Soul as well, so I have a strong feelings that Targonians are going to appear in some lore when it updates again later down the line. So this is just the beginning, and there's still some other stuff to talk about, like the Sulari and the Lunari. We're just scratching the surface of Mount Targon. You know, we haven't climbed the top. Yeah, I'm so fucking corny. Soul's Bio gave us something very noteworthy about the Void, if you've seen it, but I'm gonna save the Void stuff for another playlist later down the line. But it's been your boy Luke John, and I'm out.
He's begged for mercy. It's just